Okay. Hi everyone.
Yeah.
Welcome to the latest in our series of W Mug interviews. And I've got with me today, I'll let him introduce himself. He's a guy who works for Microsoft, and a lot of you folks out there might recognise this particular person. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Simon May. I'm a technical evangelist for Microsoft here in the US. I used to be based in the UK up until a short while ago, but made a move over to Microsoft Corp about 6 months ago, which was kind of a cool move, kind of interesting, allowed me to expand my career a little bit. But you've probably seen me around the UK doing various things like the IT camps that we do, and blogging on UK TechNet and that kind of stuff.
Excellent. Cheers, Simon. So you say you're an IT evangelist. Is that your job title, or have you got a slightly strange job title that I've seen floating around?
Yeah, so one of the fun things about about this place is that we have different job titles. So my internal job title in Microsoft is actually senior program manager, and I'm actually technically an engineer.
Okay.
However, my external official job title is technical evangelist, but that doesn't really describe what I do very well. So I've changed that job title for the purposes of what I go out and talk about to match up a little better. So I call myself an enterprise device infrastructuralist.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, people think that I've made that word up, but actually I've not. If you search Wikipedia, you'll find that it appears in some really old literature from like the early 1900s, and it's basically a word that was put together to describe people that build the infrastructure that civilization runs on. So I kind of think now that we're in this mobile world, we need people that build the infrastructure as opposed to just concentrating on the latest, greatest thing that a device can do.
Okay. So, what exactly does an infrastructuralist or evangelist do, or what you sort of do in your day-to-day job then, really?
Well, it's kind of interesting, really. A lot of it is directly going out there and talking to our customers, talking to our communities, and actually explaining what our products do and what problems they help you guys to solve. So I'll do things like speak at conferences. You'll find me maybe talking at Tech Edge. You'll find me talking at things like IT camps. You'll also find me doing lots of content on the Microsoft Virtual Academy, which is a free online training resource. Things like 2.1 million users of it now globally.
Yeah.
It's a really cool resource for finding training on all sorts of Microsoft products. And one of the things that I do is create courses and jumpstart courses that we publish on MVA, so that anybody can go on and get free training.
Excellent. You obviously, some of those guys will see you on Channel 9 as well, on the Channel 9 website, doing interviews and things like
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah. There's also that little thing. Yeah, the Edge show, which my team rotate that show through one of the four people in my team. So we rotate that, take 1 week out of every four. So 1 week out of every four is focused on enterprise devices and the infrastructure that it takes to run them. That's the episode that I do. Just last week, actually, I interviewed a guy in one of the product teams here called Nasos, and he actually is the program manager, sorry, the product manager. That's really important to get that right, for Azure Identity, which is kind of becoming a key part of our mobile device, enterprise device infrastructure
Indeed.
story. So kind of cool, kind of fun.
Excellent. So, you say obviously you're in the US now, and you used to do this in the UK. How did you originally become an evangelist then?
Well, that was an interesting story. So I was involved in the community for quite a long time, but not in the way you might think. I actually started out I used to work for a very large bank organisation. I got a bit bored while I was there, so I decided to start reaching out and blogging and doing that kind of thing in my spare time. And I approached an MVP in the UK, a guy called Ian Dixon, to start blogging on his site, the Digital Lifestyle, and he accepted me as a blogger. I started creating some stuff there, writing some articles, and then a publisher came along, asked me to write a book on Windows 7, which I did. Around about this time, I actually applied to work inside of Microsoft in a couple of other roles, and that kind of got my CV moving around. And then, kind of fortuitously, my first Microsoft manager saw my CV, asked me in for an interview, got the job from there, and I joined Microsoft. And then I moved out to Redmond because we needed somebody over here who knew all of our enterprise device infrastructure, how it all comes together, how you build kind of config man, Windows Intune, file services, the Azure parts of things, all of that kind of stuff. And I ended up with this ROM.
Excellent. So there's hope for us guys yet there.
Well, I think the thing is, community involvement's really important. It's a great on-ramp to this kind of thing, but the community aspect's exactly what you make of it. The more involved you are in a community, the more kind of you get from that particular community. So I kind of love the media center side of things. Obviously, that product no longer really exists. A little bit of a shame, but there's other alternatives out there.
Cool. Okay, so how are you getting on in the US now? You've been there, what, 6-7 months?
Yeah.
Small guys back in Blighty, are you?
Yeah, I'm missing Blighty in a number of ways. I'm really missing Cadbury's chocolate. Actually, I really need some good quality high milk solids chocolate. It's really bad out here. All of the low milk solids chocolate is not particularly good. But there are some other advantages from a food point of view, particularly barbecue. Over here we get kind of really awesome smoked barbecue meats everywhere. That's very cool. Also, I get to drive a huge car, which is quite a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, I've seen the picture. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I quite like it.
Nice. So, what would you say is the best thing about your job as an evangelist?
Best thing? It's a tricky one. It's probably twofold. Firstly, the technology that I get to play with, because I get to play with everything just as it's coming out, just as it's going into preview, and kind of help to work out what we're going to say about it, and then actually go and say something about that technology. I kind of get to play with all this new stuff. Coolest thing about that, though, is that from my point of view, I kind of get bored if I've been doing the same thing for more than about 2 weeks. So as we release all these new products very, very quickly now with this new release cycle, I've always got something new to be playing with. So my job never really feels old at all. There's always something new and cool out there. I just have to kind of temper that with the fact that not everybody out there is able to deploy software to 100,000 machines in a week.
Yeah, I think probably a lot of techies out there can relate to that.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing, and kind of we know that it's difficult for people to roll out software on the cadence that we've got. But you want to be seeing these little features coming out all the time. One of our technical fellows recently said something very, very insightful, actually, which was that if you've got something where it's not quite working, you don't make it work by leaving it static. You make it work by making lots of incremental, quick changes to it to improve it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way that things are going now. I think that people, when they start to look at an environment, they need to be thinking about how can we make these changes very, very quick, very low impact, very kind of cyclical in order to move things forward.
Yeah, I can understand that. Excellent. So, if you weren't an infrastructuralist or evangelist, what kind of non-IT job do you think you would do?
Well, there was this one thing that I almost got into before I went down the path of doing IT, doing computer science at university. I actually got into I actually really loved doing drafting on drawing stuff. I would have been an architect. I would have been an actual physical building architect. I think that's where I would have sunk my efforts. In lieu of that, obviously, I get to build and architect bits of infrastructure, but I also did quite a lot of hands-on DIY house renovation, and I think that kind of kept me in that same kind of zone where I was getting to build things all the time. I think there's something about IT guys and girls that mean that we like building stuff, and I think there's something that I just can never kind of move out of the field of actually building something and putting it together.
Yeah, so you got some good buildings and such like in Seattle to keep you entertained then?
Well, there's the Space Needle, which is a kind of interesting building, but there's actually walking around campus is really cool. There's some amazing buildings actually on campus itself. It's always good if anybody asks you to go to a meeting in Building 7, which doesn't exist. There's actually no Building 7, it's just missing. But the building that I actually work in, if you look at one of the campus maps, you'll see which you can do on Google Maps or Bing or wherever, you'll actually see there's some X-shaped offices, which are the original buildings. I actually work in one of those, so they're kind of interesting to walk around. Pretty nondescript on the outside. Inside, they're an absolute maze, and it's really tricky to navigate your way around internally.
Excellent. Top tip for anyone visiting Redmond then.
Oh yeah.
Cool. So, I'd say, and I think pretty much people would agree with it, you're fairly well known in the, especially in the Microsoft IT Pro community. Have you ever been recognised or received kind of fan mail or things like that?
Never received fan mail, despite continuously asking for it on things like the Edge Show or the Ping Show, which is another show that I do on Channel 9, where I'll ask people to send in postcards, which we always receive. It's really easy to send us postcards and stuff. Just send it to the Ping Show, 1 Microsoft Way, Redmond, Washington 98052, and then we can get that kind of stuff. So there we go. I asked for fan mail, but no, I've not actually received fan mail. I have, however, been accosted. Well, I say accosted. The person that did it might be watching this. I have actually been approached today at Heathrow Airport. Actually, no, it wasn't Heathrow. It was Gatwick. As I was flying out for something or other, and someone walked up to me when I was at the bar and said, "I think I know you. You're that guy from Microsoft." I was like, "Yes, that is me." That was a slightly surreal experience.
Okay. So do you know Kent Agalun?
Yeah.
So I interviewed Kent as well. I guess some of you guys may have watched the video anyway, but it's worth a quick watch. He got recognised in the changing rooms of his local swimming pool.
Oh,
awkward.
Yes. Yeah. To be honest, there's a place here where that happens quite a lot. There's a gym that lots of folks use that work for Microsoft. It's not unusual to bump into the odd person that you may well know only from Twitter in there.
Excellent. We'll leave it at that, I think.
Yeah, probably best.
Okay, so obviously at WMUG with the Windows Management User Group, we do quite a bit of work even with the Microsoft community.
Yeah.
As someone who's really an insider, how do you see the Microsoft community?
Well, it's kind of, I think, one of the most important things that we do. Actually being, Satya put it into his email the other day, being obsessed by our customers. And actually community is one of the ways that we kind of try and do that. Getting out there, understanding what people are doing, understanding what the feedback is, and that's not always done in the way that you might expect. So it's not totally programmatic. There's folks like me that are out there that occasionally go and present at user groups around the place that actually start to pull that information back. But there's other channels as well, like yourself. When you're at those user group events, as an MVP, you're starting to suck that information in, or as a community leader, you're sucking that information in, and then that slowly drip feeds its way back into Microsoft, into the various parts of the organisation that can start to put things into play and start to change things. I actually work for the part of Microsoft that has the responsibility for managing the relationship and the community with IT pros all up, and it's kind of interesting to see some of what we get back. Kind of one of the things that we've been told recently is that we're not very good at explaining the roadmap, so you're starting to see that change in certain areas. Office 365 now publishes their roadmap, for example. It's a great place to see that. You'll probably begin to see it in other areas. We're also hearing very much that folks inside of the communities actually really want us to go out and not kind of talk about all the features that we got in the software that's coming out, but actually kind of solve problems for people. They explain how it's relevant to the problem that you're trying to solve, which I think is a very, very cool thing. So we use communities for that particular reason, to get information back from them. I also think that one of the things that we've all underestimated for a long, long time as IT professionals is how important it is to just go and talk to other people that are doing the same job as you. My own personal experience of IT, I used to work for a massive IT organisation, 3,500 staff in the UK, and that organisation was huge, but so siloed that I'd never really speak to anybody else that was doing the same job as me.
Sure.
And as a result, they didn't have the same, I had nobody that was doing the same, trying to solve the same challenges. going to a community event, going to a user group, helps you to solve those challenges. It's the same kind of thing as when you go to TechEd or any of those kind of large events. You're actually meeting other people that are in the same situation, and networking like that, super important.
Yeah, I'll vouch for you on that one as well. As someone who's an IT consultant by day, but obviously I do user group stuff outside of that. It's good to speak to other people and share experiences and things, and I'll also vouch that Microsoft do listen to things like this. So, you know, if you attend user groups where you have various people from Microsoft who attend, and you can give your feedback through those, and there's obviously connect.microsoft.com as well.
Yeah, and also if you're looking at providing feedback on things like, say, Windows Phone, user voice is actually used really heavily by the Windows Phone team to get some of that information back. So there's lots of different places to feed information in, but they're all essentially just different communities of folks that we're trying to engage with.
Oh, cool, thank you. So you obviously work with lots of different Microsoft technologies. Do you have a particular favourite? One that you maybe reminisce about, or something?
Well, one of the big things I spend a lot of time doing is actually looking at, as an enterprise device infrastructuralist, I spend a lot of time looking at the infrastructure that it takes to make modern devices work. So probably the single kind of my single main technology focus at the moment that I think is really cool is actually around a product that we've just kind of put together, which is the Enterprise Management Suite. Got loads of different parts to it. It includes things like Windows Intune, like Azure Active Directory, and Azure RMS. And I'm diving really deep into all those different bits, so it's hard to pick something that I think is really cool. However, I'd probably say that Azure Active Directory, wow, it's just awesome. We're releasing features on an almost weekly basis into it. And the ability that it gives you to very quickly take your on-premises Active Directory, extend it up into the cloud, and access it securely, globally, on any device, and then you get to centralize that single identity for a user. That's really, really cool. I think in a couple of years' time, we're going to see almost every single on-premises Active Directory gets federated or synchronized with Azure Active Directory, because it gives you just so much power to enable so much stuff.
No, I can vouch again for that from my day job. I can see things going that way too. Okay.
And I know this community is obviously totally into ConfigMan and that kind of stuff, and ConfigMan and Windows Intune as well. That together is incredibly powerful. And lots of people think, well, you know, it's cloud, I don't want to go cloud, blah 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 blah. Actually, it makes so much sense when we're doing mobile device management. Sorry, I just dropped into an Americanism. Mobile device management, where we've got all these devices that are only ever connected over the internet. You don't want them to have to kind of build up some VPN connection in order to be able to be managed. That starts to get really counterproductive. So I think in that situation, mobile device management, Intune, ConfigMan together, just an awesome combination.
Yeah, and it's only getting better really from what I hear. There's things on the roadmap.
Oh yeah, the roadmap looks really impressive.
Cool. Okay, so last couple of questions then. I imagine you've done quite a few cool things being an evangelist, a few maybe oddball things. What's funniest or oddest thing you've been asked to do over the years?
There are a couple. So there's the occasional weird video, which is always a strange thing to get asked to do, but we do get those. But I also get pulled in to do various different interesting projects, part of the company that I work for. And I work with this really cool company in the UK. It's actually a creative agency. And we had, I think it was 50-something Surface Pro 1 devices that were all connected into what we called the arrays. And all of the devices had this kind of this back-end server that they connected to, which performed a metronome function and kept them all in time. So we could do things like have all of the devices connected together to perform a beatbox chorus, which we did. One of the creative agencies that was working on a hack project for it actually built that application. We also built an application that allowed us to simultaneously take a photograph from all of the devices, and they're all pointing inwards at one particular person. So we've got these kind of really cool, almost 3D effect photos. And this whole thing, we took it. It got used in bunch of different events, but I escorted it down to the Cannes Lions event, which, if you don't know, and heck, why should you know what this is? It's actually an event for the advertising industry.
Okay.
And it's down in Cannes, on the beach, absolutely beautiful, stunning location, in the middle of summer. The weather's amazing, and we had this thing set up. And the really cool thing was with this thing, A, escorting it, but B, just doing all the deployment work. I built the back-end infrastructure config man to be able to go and deploy the operating systems out to all the iPads, to be able to deploy all the apps that we needed. It was just awesome. The very last day of the event, unfortunately though, we all had to sit through a DJ set that night with some guy called Tiesto. Yeah, which was really bad.
Small name.
Yeah, little tiny guy. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. We'll have to try and gather some evidence of that and maybe some pics and we'll
yeah, I think I've got a video that I can send over actually. I did record a little tiny thing. I'll see if I won't send the clip with Tiesto in it, because that's actually probably got a little bit of he's probably got some IP over the music he was playing or something. But I'll send one of the other bits of video over.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do. That sounds pretty awesome. Okay, so finally then, in your opinion, what do you think is probably the hottest product or utility in the client management space at the moment, or maybe the next big thing?
Well, honestly, I kind of already mentioned it. I think Windows Intune, actually. I think that's going to the usage of it is going to increase as we start to make it even more accessible through things like the EMS licensing SKU that's been created, that basically means that you get to buy, as I say, Intune, Azure AD Premium, and Azure RMS all in one bundle. It also gives you the licenses for ConfigMan as well on-prem. So I think that's going to start to really increase, and we're going to start to see way more people doing larger scale deployments of it to do their management.
Excellent. Okay, so that's all the questions we've got for you today. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
For your time. I appreciate it.
No worries.
The guys who are listening would also appreciate it. So how do these guys get in touch with you if we want to fire any other questions, etc.?
Easiest way to do it, simon-may.com is my website. You can also find me on Twitter, which is @SignThyMonster. Easy to find. You can also just Bing me or Google me, and you'll find me. I'm not the same Simon May that wrote the EastEnders theme tune.
Oh.
That's a different guy. He's far, far richer than me. And older, actually.
Okay. Thank you again.
No worries, anytime. Thanks for having me.